Welcome everyone to episode 11 of the Knockout. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year tonight. This is the Knockout, YouTube show and podcast. So it's already been an interesting kind of New Year for me. There's a fire going on near Boulder, Colorado, in the state I live in, and luckily, I think from what I know, there's been no casualties, even though there's been close to 600 homes have been destroyed and burned. So thoughts and prayers to those affected, and we hope that there are no casualties, because that's the last thing you need around the holidays. But as a result of that fire, I spent a couple of hours last night in blackout because stress to the system. They shut things down. I mean, I don't quite understand it, but Flashpoint also suffered from the same blackout, so that was our only inconvenience. The community there at Boulder has suffered far worse than us, so I mean, we have nothing to complain about compared to them. So please welcome to the podcast Flashpoint Comics, arguing for Flash himself. Welcome, man. Welcome.
Hello.
And he's getting some snow here, so hopefully he can enjoy that part in his part of the state. So
yes, sir.
And welcome also Pocan Joe, arguing for Darkseid, who was the champion of season 1. So Pocan has a little bit of pressure to be living up to, because he doesn't want to let down Burke Family 54, who won season 1 with Darkseid. So he's got a bit to live up to. So welcome, Pocan Joe. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. And I'm glad you guys are here finally. It took forever. It feels like it took the whole year to get to close to the end of season, or end of the round 1 of the 3rd season. So the final episode for round 1 will take place on January 4th. So behind the scenes, for those of you listening, of course, I'm just rambling at this point, but Pocan Joe will have the kickoff for the opening statement and beginning of the closing statement, as per my usual rules. You guys get one official challenge each. If you one challenge to say that's BS, you can't do that, or whatever you want to use it for. I'm usually pretty lenient, so I don't really have much. I don't judge. Most things slide past me. So in that regard, so if you could have a good argument for it, I might let it pass. So it's all up to you guys. So any questions before we get started?
We're good.
Awesome. And before we do, I am gonna highlight this one thing to get the vote going. So feel free to vote whenever you guys are ready for our 2 viewers currently going. So, all right, Pocan Joe, take it away for why Darkseid should remain the champion.
Well, first off, again, I'm super happy to be here. Just a quick back history. You got to think my character Darkseid's first appearance was in Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 134. And, of course, my first full appearance forever is Forever People. Subsequent runs that kind of ran with it, that kind of explained my universe. And this is all great comic book stuff. But I'm going to argue tonight that Darkseid is probably not only the most powerful being there is, but he's not a deity with godlike powers. He's a god with powers. As represented in one of his most famous statements of all time, Darkseid is emblematical to what has been used in the Bible and other religious writings over the years. Not only that, I have all the superhero strengths and abilities that are out there, whether it's speed, laser beam eyes from Omega beams, higher intellect, telekinesis, teleportation, super strength, and all the great comic book woo-woo. But that's not what's interesting about Darkseid. Darkseid follows a philosophy that was first founded by St. Augustine in the depiction of what evil is. At the end of the day, evil is nothing more than a hole where good is filled in and we can't meet the expectations of good. Darkseid is the hole. Overall, in 2008, given his run, we find out that Darkseid's character is beyond space and time and even the multiverse itself. And everything that we see in the multiverse is nothing more than an avatar of him, an angel, if you will, or a representation of himself. This is how great his power really is throughout it. Again, Darkseid isn't something that has the power of a god. He is a god. He is the reason why in Grant Morrison's run, Samuel Hunt and all that, the reason why Gotham is corrupt the way that it is. The bullet that fired from Apocalypse was the same bullet as Batman quoting being the bullet that killed JFK, Martin Luther King, and every subsequent bullet after that was fired that took down good. My character has been around for not as long as the Flash, but I would say that he has had more of an impact than the Flash. Speaking of the Flash, I'm not even sure why he's in this competition to begin with. I actually feel sorry for Flashpoint at this point. He's nothing more than a selfish, thin man that can run really fast. The moment that he feels that something's been taken with him, he justifies his own existence by changing everything else around it. We've read this rut. He missed his mommy at the end of the day. Darkseid is. He is the incarnation of evil. What is he the god of? Well, that very hole that we try to fill with good but never meet the expectation. At the end of the day, not only do I have the powers that be, but Darkseid also proves probably a cosmic point that your insignificant existence does not matter. Life isn't important, hope is pointless, and you just exist. In the same way that a person steps on an ant that is doing nothing more than trying to feed its queen, this is Darkseid's true power and how he looks at you and everything that you do, say, are, and think.
Awesome.
That concludes my argument.
Awesome. That's quite an opening statement. All right, Flash, you have a lot to answer. So take it away with your opening statement.
Okay, so the Flash's first appearance was in Showcase number 4, way before Darkseid. So yes, he may seem like, oh, he just runs fast, but there are quite a lot of powers that, you don't know that Barry Allen and Wally have. So while yes, Darkseid is, a god without being a god, the thing is, the main argument is Flash has already killed Darkseid in continuity, so he can do it. So that kind of already shows that the Flash can defeat Darkseid. Second, yeah, well, he has all basic powers, speed, strength, stuff like that. The thing is he can't keep up with the Flash. Barry Allen has the ability to quantum tunnel, which is basically vibrating at such high speeds and such intensity that he can just pass through solid objects like walls. So, and let's be real here. If a man like Batman, that's just a man that works out, can dodge his Omega beams, why can't Barry Allen? So you can't really use that against me. And, even through all of his shows and all of the movies and everything else, he's really never done anything that's impressive to, like, wow, he sends all of his minions to do his work and then he gets some action and manages to beat it. He just has plot armor on his side. He's never really done anything to, like, put himself as, I'm in control. Like, so yes, you have to assume because he is in control of Apocalypse and all of that he's a very powerful being. But like I said, Batman dodged his Omega beams. So really the only true power we've really seen him have that no human can dodge. Nobody has ever done it. So, and Barry Allen has time and time again, yes, he has been selfish. Which I'm assuming you're referring to Flashpoint. And anybody in their right mind would, if you could get your mom back, or maybe that one person that you've missed and haven't been able to see for a long time because they passed away due to some tragic circumstance, wouldn't you be a little bit selfish to bring her back? So does that really make him not worthy or unable to beat Darkseid just because he was selfish one time and he learned from Flashpoint? And the thing is, look at Apocalypse War. Apocalypse War, he literally went back in time, which he also can time travel, and made it so that never happened. So anything that Darkseid has done or will do can be undone by the Flash. And honestly, if DC was a little bit darker and wrote it in a way, he could be dead way before he even became anything. So that's my opening statement.
Awesome. Very good. So you both have two fans at least in the chat, JB and Legion. So anybody who has any questions for our guests, I will highlight them and feel free to answer. So that way the pressure's not all on me and these two for it. But I will start off with this. I'll throw this to both of you and you both can answer it. It is one word, Flashpoint. So, Flash can run back in time and change it. So if he's about to lose to Darkseid, can he just start the clock over again? And, with another time period to either try and defeat Darkseid or better yet, just win in general because Darkseid won't see him coming then?
I actually argue no, he can't. As I said in my opening statement, Flash has never beaten Darkseid. He's done nothing but beat an avatar of Darkseid. The real Darkseid lives outside space and time, as proven in the Grant Morrison run. You've never beaten Flash to begin with. There's nothing to go back to if I live outside of the concept of time and space.
But that's
So
not
now,
true, though. That
though
is not
it is true in the Grant Morrison
So-
run, which is continuity. Yes, it is.
So when you're talking, so when you talk about Apocalypse War, though, or not Apocalypse War, I can't even remember the run. So when Flash, with the help of Wally West and the vibrate through Darkseid and kill him because of the Black Racer.
Yeah.
So he may be an avatar, but how much stronger is the Darkseid from the avatar? Because there's never been a distinguishable, like, yeah, they say, you know, they give it luminous, oh, well, he's, you know, this isn't his true form, but we've never seen his true form, so we can't really put a power.
Yes, we did see his true form in the same Grant Morrison run. He's nothing more than, he is the life equation. The whole concept of the story in itself is the philosophical point of one finding themselves. He is the life equation trying to find himself.
But he still hasn't found himself, though, so he's still not complete. So I would say that
no, that's abstraction. That's
Darkseid needs therapy to
point.
find himself.
I'm gonna have to challenge that comment. That's not within the correctness. And also, how many times in continuity has Darkseid caught the Flash? And two of them, twice, he snapped his neck right then and there.
So you want to use
your talk continuity? That has happened twice.
You want to use your challenge, Pocan?
Yeah, I use my challenge.
All right. So here's what happens. So I need you get both of you will get a chance to do a brief statement on why Flash, why you can use it, and why Pocan says it's BS. So because Flash is being challenged, I'll let him argue first.
Please.
And then Pocan can do it. So like I said, brief, and also in a way that I can understand it. And then, like I said, once I make my ruling, whether you agree or not, it's where it stands. So take it away, Flash.
So long story short is that, so yes, you are correct in all of those things. So, but in Grant Morrison's run, though, like when you read his run, you know, I'm all DC. It's that, yes, it's hard to explain it in a way like simple. So for me, though, it's that he's not at full power. We've never seen Darkseid at full power. If that's the case, then because if he's the life equation trying to find itself, then, you know, in theory, because yes, just as in multiple times he snapped the Flash's neck, you know, Flash has beaten him, the Justice League has beaten him, you know, and there have been numerous different things that, you know, like Batman has done when fighting him that kind of make it like, okay, so, you know, is he really at true power? You know, if he's this god and never within time or space, this is just avatars, you know, in Grant Morrison's run, I don't believe we saw his full power.
Okay. All right. And Pocan, your argument?
To ask to see something's full true power is like right now telling God that he doesn't exist because you don't recognize his full true power. You're not dealing with the commonality of law that you present to yourself. It's the same concept is does red exist? And you say yes. But a blind person says, sorry, Slim. Right? The construction of this can completely fall in on itself. And as the statement says, Darkseid is therefore the very existence of evil as the whole that we're trying to fill. Darkseid is the whole. He is. That's the concept.
Okay, so you're arguing that the very fact that he's a god and he has his avatars is kind of irrelevant. That you just can't witness his full power because you're not in person.
I'll allow me to give a better simile.
Okay.
Does an ant ever see your true power?
Okay.
The answer to that is, of course, no. So therefore, how can you ultimately define it? You're not significant. Neither is anybody else in the DC universe significant to see him in his full power.
All right. And Flash, you said that you have things in the continuity run of the DC where Flash.
Well, so basically, though, but it's just like. So, I mean, if we're going to go on his philosophy, so like it's just like this.
Oh, it's not mine. It's St. Augustine's.
But if we're going to go off of that, though, ant boot. So if we're going to go off of that, think of it like this. So people who believe in Christianity believe that, you know, God created the world, right? So we've still, the same thing. So have we never witnessed his true, what his capabilities are because we can't see him in person? It's the same thing. It's just that, you know, we don't know what he's capable of because we haven't witnessed his full capabilities yet.
But he is.
I'm I'm not exactly sure where to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a line here in the chat, and I'm going to let the chat decide. Who do you think should I let his rule go? So we'll let the chat decide and all that. So really quickly, guys, get in the debate. Or who do you think has a better argument, Flash or Pocan, for they should do it? So if you guys can do it real quick, because I'm leaning a little bit more towards the fact that. Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Pocan Joe with that whole fact of being a god purely as is. But I also understand for the sake of argument that you actually have to fight, kind of a thing. So Legion says Christianity is a belief, not a fact. The context of comics, Darkseid has been seen in true. Okay, so far it's on Pocan here, and so I'm just giving a few more seconds. So if you guys want a chance to sway my decision, and I'm going to drop the second line here.
Also, I apologize for going meta with this, but philosophy is kind of my shtick.
No.
Yeah, but the argument. But Joe, what WTF can anyone do about that?
Yeah.
I don't know, because in a way I'd argue. I don't know, because I'm understanding. Because I'm thinking about the whole Apocalypse Darkseid movie, with the whole with the whole thing when his avatar, the robot, came in there. It took everything they had to defeat him, but in the end they still kind of won against him, even though they had to lose everything to win. Show on diplomas, Joe. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that here, or close it. Oops, wrong one. So because I actually swayed myself, I'm gonna let Flash win this argument, just because for the sake of argument we need to bring it a little less philosophy and a little more here's the comic, and here's what happened kind of a thing. So I will let Flashpoint carry this. So Pocan, you can't continue with that argument, so let's continue.
Okay. Does the argument I might be a little lost, so I can't use the argument.
You can't argue. We can't argue. Basically, you need to argue that Darkseid is basically in person, almost kind of thing. It's not just Darkseid is.
Okay.
For the sake of argument, it's okay. Darkseid actually needs to roll up his sleeves and start punching.
Okay.
So
my argument that he's grabbed Flash twice and snapped his neck, that still holds water.
That still holds.
Well, and like I said, the Flash is defeated Darkseid with the Speed Force and the Black Racer. I mean, it was both. Yes, Darkseid has never truly been defeated, but I can't even say that's true, because I mean, if we're going Apocalypse War, I mean, I guess it depends on what we're considering defeated. Because I don't think I think Apocalypse War, I don't think he was killed by any means. I don't believe that, but he was defeated. You know what I mean?
He was distracted long enough for them to seal Apocalypse to itself or something like that, and then they restarted time. So technically, Darkseid might have still been fighting, and time was resetted, so therefore he lost by default but didn't lose. But anyway, so like I said, that's my understanding. I might be blowing smoke out of where, and it makes sense to me.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest here. It's kind of hard with Darkseid because it takes the whole Justice League to win. So, I mean... yeah,
that was going to be my next argument. I mean,
I mean, I can't. That's
in continuity where a banana peel has defeated the Flash, I believe. Right?
Yeah,
come on, right? Tricky trapsters. Now, I will say this about Darkseid, and since I have to stick with the physical form of him, we'll throw away the God argument like I was instructed to. My guy's a king, an emperor. He is above all, and his still maintains the same "you are insignificant" like a true ruler does. His boot upon people, keeping people in order, and his subjugation of controlling over the whole multiverse as a whole gets thwarted by, I don't know, maybe a couple of people. Also, let's not forget I did kill Doomsday as well. That thing that killed Superman. Right?
I don't know. Not to help out Flash, but I seem to remember a 3-part, Flash, the Hunter Prey, Superman thing, where basically Superman came to Apocalypse, and Darkseid was like, "Take this trash out of here," after he couldn't fail to kill him, because Doomsday does come back.
Yeah, Doomsday does come. Well, that kind of fit into the argument. I'm not allowed to use it anymore.
Flash.
Resurrection is infinite.
Yeah,
What storyline you go through.
Yeah, Flash, you are dealing with like I said, a guy who has an army, a guy who has god-like powers, or is, God in physical form. He's just, he's still a god in physical form. He just doesn't have that omnipotent argument that we're doing.
Okay.
But what does Flash have to fight specifically that he can use to fight Darkseid besides just his speed and potentially, like I mentioned before, slipping into another flashpoint?
So, I mean, to combat his army, all he has to do is so he can oh crap, I can't remember what they called it, but basically he can, this is Barry Allen Flash. So basically any speedster can absorb the power of other speedsters and give and lend speed. So in theory, absorbing enough speed and running through the multiverse is enough time and collecting enough, because there's, as we saw in the animated series, that there's enough flashes throughout the multiverse. If he collects enough speed, he would have the strength to defeat Darkseid.
Well, there's just as many Darkseids throughout the multiverse too.
Yeah, but Darkseid isn't going to summon another Darkseid because he's too proud. He's too proud.
I don't know. I'm not diving into the psychology of evil incarnated, but I'll say that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, I wouldn't think he wouldn't think he would need to anyway. He'd be like, why do I need me to help me? I can.
Yeah. Also, Darkseid's not necessarily alone. I do have my left and my right hand, who are just as powerful, right? I have Omega beams. I don't want to say I'm just as fast. I haven't seen anything to prove that, but we do know that the Omega beams can catch up to the Flash, Superman, and all those guys as well. Takes me nanoseconds within for my reflexes to happen, which I pulled off of Wicca fandom on the DC Universe website. So I'm sorry, but I'm just not impressed. And first off, the use of the entire Speed Force thing, I'll be honest with you, if anybody actually understands what this Speed Force is, other than a catchy word phrase to give somebody woo-woo magic powers, I'm happy to hear it. My guy is legit based off of string theory and everything else.
Yeah, but Southern says, wait a minute, if anyone could drive into the psychology of evil, it would be the master of evil lair, Rob from Not Near Mint says, Happy New Year, good luck. So, yeah, this is definitely, like I said, good points, all this. I mean, you got, in the beginning, when these two set up, I did really think that, this is a little bit of a not fair fight on one side. But the more I thought about Flash, ultimately, as things continued, I realized Flash does have several key things about him. Speed and whatnot is not to help you out, but I heard something about in other debates for things like what's that? That force punch, mass force punch, or something where he basically can knock out Superman because he runs so fast and makes contact. But yeah, so I mean, this definitely he might not have the strength per se that Darkseid does, but he is definitely not without his ability to take him on.
Yeah.
Any points that you guys have on the weaknesses or weaknesses that you would have to overcome? Like, how would Flash defeat Darkseid, and how would Darkseid, look down upon his throne at the ant and decide, you know what, I actually have to stop this one personally? So is there something I'm missing on why?
Well, I mean, all I can say is kind of helps Pocan Joe is that Darkseid did need the Flash to power his planet, so he did essentially power Apocalypse for a little bit of time there as a slave. Just saying.
Yeah, that new run, that's a good point. Yeah, that was kind of funny. I think as far as powers go, and again, I'm not making this as an argument for or against. I'm just stating.
Go ahead.
If you take away Flash's Speed Force, whatever this Speed Force thing is, if you take that away, at the end of the day, we have to rely on a good person to make a right decision. And I'll be honest with you, I just don't think Barry Allen's that guy.
What about the not to argue, but what about the Infinite Crisis thing with the Anti-Monitor and all that, where basically ran himself out of existence for 30 years or something like that? It seems to me that he has the definition of a hero. He would sacrifice, whereas Darkseid would be like, I'm not going to sacrifice. It's too proud or too above it.
And the thing is I agree with Joe. Like, he was selfish at one point. I do think the whole Flashpoint event was was selfish. But in his defense, he didn't know that all of the things were going to happen that they did, and he regretted and he suffered. Like he pushed Wally to make sure he never did what he did. Like he regrets the Flashpoint like from happening. You can tell in his character the way he's written now and like everything else. Like he suffered enough for what he did in Flashpoint, and he was selfish. But what really was it selfishness? Because when he didn't know what was going to happen, like it's not like he went back in time to save his mom and knew I'm going to screw up the entire multiverse. I'm going to screw up everything that happened. I'm going to cause, Wonder Woman and Aquaman to fight, and everything else. Like he didn't know all that was going to happen. He was just like,
that's fair. Sometimes when I speed down the road, when I drive very fast, I assume that I'm not going to get pulled over by a cop. When I am, I'm generally very sorry.
Yeah. So Darkseid is sacrifice. Hey Sharon, how's it going? Thank you for stopping by. So
also one other concept that I kind of want to bring up about Darkseid is this whole Darkseid's not self-sacrificing, as I see in the chat room. These things again, if you believe in cosmic nihilism, which is kind of the defining moment of Darkseid, it's in his name, it's in his being, it's in everything that he does. Self-sacrificing is not a thing. It's not significant. It's something that shouldn't happen. We're talking about somebody who believes that life is pointless, hope is meaningless, and the whole concept of a soul is just ridiculous. So he's not in the same mindset as, let's say, inferior beings at the end of the day. Rather he is or rather he isn't, his beliefs aren't there for that. So I can't call that a fault on his side. It's just what he is. Darkseid is.
Yeah, he's so good and so powerful, he doesn't need to finish the sentence. Yeah. All right. So yeah, don't forget to vote. Those of you currently in the chat, as we're continuing going. So all right. Like I said, Flash didn't know, so yeah, we can forgive him the accidental recreating of several timelines, But who has the more strategic mind? We got Flash the scientist. The criminal, what's that word I'm looking for? The CSI. And then you got Darkseid, who basically God, conquered apocalypse, spreading throughout whatever, creating an empire. Who actually has the more formidable strategic mind? Who could outthink the other person? Because that, I think, would also play a key role in this thing. Flash has to literally outthink a god. So
Flash is just a kid with ADD. There's no strategic thing there. He just does things. He just runs really fast and does things. I plot, plan, scheme, and execute.
Yeah. Sorry, left to YouTubers. Look at the facts. Will prevail tonight. Darkseid is. Yeah. So we got several people coming in. So he is out.
I mean, like Final Crisis literally showed that Barry Allen outthought Darkseid. Yeah. So I agree with that. Like See, and the thing is and it's so hard in these as well when it comes to like DC, because continuity has changed so much and so many things have happened.
True.
That you can be like, oh well, Darkseid snapped Barry Allen like both of their necks. Well, yeah, but look at Final Crisis, where Final Crisis both showed that Barry Allen outsmarted Darkseid. So it's like, what?
Did he No. Let's debate that point. Did he really outthink him, or did he just take advantage of an opportunity?
Sometimes
he outthought him.
I'm not buying that one. I think he saw an opportunity and did what he did best. Moved really fast.
Yeah, but you have to think though. He made a split-second decision. He had to.
Or did he just react? Was it a decision, or did he just react?
Legion argues that Final Crisis was the lamest, weakest Darkseid ever. Too. We got to put that in context. So if that is true, we have to throw that into the mix. So, I got a quick question then. So, if this, like I said, this is out of nowhere, then who starts the fight ultimately? I don't see Darkseid recognizing Flash as an actual threat. I see Flash having to go to Darkseid, because Flash has the first move, chance of surprise. I see Flash having the slight edge if he has surprise on his side versus Darkseid. Like I said, king on his throne, looking at the ants down there. He's not going to recognize one crawling up from behind.
You like that analogy?
Hey, I gotta thank them for the ants in the boot comment, because it's gave me several arguments. So,
well, the thing is, so if we're gonna go that route though, let's talk about it like this though. So, So obviously, the hero should win. You would think so, but let's talk about it like this. So if Barry Allen knew what he knew when coming up against Darkseid again, so if he knew, if he knew like what had happened in Final Crisis, what is stopping him from going back in time or going to another multiverse, grabbing the Black Racer, and just doing it again? Like, what is stopping that from happening again and again in any sort of scenario? Oh.
I think I'm here. Let's I'll put the Black Racer thing up there again. Yeah, so I'm having fun looking at the several arguments. The chat seems lively. A little bit, whatever. So you got the strong supporters on both sides. So I love it when it happens. So this is definitely a lot of fun. Do either you want to add, or do we should start? Should we start? Should I sound like an idiot? Start
to that last statement. As you said, if Flash did this, if Flash did that. My argument is Darkseid is. Yours seems to be Flash is only if.
But he has the ability, though. It's not like you see the thing.
That's a lot of assumption. That's a lot of assumption from the scope of a reader, right? Like it seems like a very, it seems like a fallacy. It seems like a phallic argument. I can't buy that with the if argument. I have to reject it. But I will say, and I've been a little hard on Flash. I think he's a handsome man. That's all I got for you.
Comic Collector says Darkseid is always defeated. Gotta have fun, people talking. Yeah, Barry. Yeah, thank you, Sharon. Good comment there. So, even Batman's defeated Darkseid. So, yeah, well, that's how that is in the comic books. Real life might actually portray differently. Comic books, heroes usually always win, even if the bad guy wins. It's only temporary, it seems like. But, can we name a time he won?
Yes,
I guess we're talking about
the day Evil won, the Rise of Evil storylines. The villains won in all those. There's your one. If you want another one, Mr. Miracle's famous for Darkseid winning. He won in this one too.
That is true. Nick's on Kicks and Comics, he said it takes a multitude of heroes to defeat him usually, and I would say that is a small point that you can use. That Darkseid's so powerful, the Justice League's usually taking him on, and that's what it takes.
I was going to bring that point up, but I figured this was a debate between me and the Flash.
Yes,
but I will say that is an actual statement. When Darkseid shows up, everybody has to get involved.
Yeah, so those of you who are watching in the chat, that is the point here. It's Darkseid versus Flash, not Justice League versus Darkseid. So we're sticking it mainly to that, So, any decent
Everybody
story?
wants to gang up on me, and then for some reason I'm the villain. Figure that one out.
Any decent story requires a battle where the villain wins and the heroes have to come back for a different fight to take a comeback, which is true. We are ultimately, that. If this is a one-shot kind of a thing, it's not coming back. So if Flash has to win by retreating and coming back, he technically loses. Sharon says, "Well, Betty White died at 99, and she did die today."
She did.
Kind of thing.
My wife was very upset by that.
Yes. Apparently, it took Darkseid to take her out. So vote against Darkseid if you want to avenge Betty White.
Yeah, you like Betty White. Flash.
Taking solo course. Joe picks a villain and Phil's villain. Yeah. Any more points? We've been going at this for 35 minutes. Any more points you guys want to add before we summarize our arguments? Any points you feel you wanted to add?
I'm trying, Sharon. I don't know. I feel like this was doomed from the beginning, honestly, because Barry. So the thing is with Barry Allen is here's really what it comes down to is the Speed Force. The Speed Force is a collective of people that are granted the ability to run fast, and it's not just run fast. It grants them it grants them the ability to do multiple different things. So if you think about it, the Flash, they can make speedsters can make constructs like the Lanterns can. So without a ring. So like Wally West has been found out that he could, make it so that, he made a suit of armor and made it so that he could run still as fast as he could with 2 broken legs. So, and with the ability to share and take power, take in and give Speed Force, if he took in enough Speed Force energy, and again, it is the what if, because obviously, comic book stories are still going. So, and we haven't seen Darkseid in one in a while.
Infinite Frontier.
I haven't read Infinite Frontier. I did not read Infinite Frontier. So, okay, well, before Infinite Frontier, then.
Yeah. So I've only read the first issue, so I bought it because a whole Mint Hunter Comics is always talking about. He's always mentioned Captain Carrot on his show, and there's Captain Carrot on the cover, and so I had to buy it. So we all know that Kay, the biggest Flash fan on the planet, will always vote Team Flash. Oh yeah, talk about her son. If it was Wally, I believe this argument. So apparently, if Wally was fighting, not Barry, he would win. Elseworlds don't count. I don't know. After reading the What If or Morbius is eaten by sharks, I want to say they all kind of count. So
but that's it for me. I have nothing else.
All right, so that was your wrap-up point.
Yeah.
So take it away with your. We'll take it away with your closing statements. So Pocan, I believe, goes first again.
Not a problem. Closing statements, as we've already pointed out in this argument, and I thought we did it well. Where Darkseid is, by not only by him but said by everybody else, it just seems like Flash is an if. We have to add conjecture, construction to him. Yes, he does more than run fast. He can shake really fast and can build up static electricity really fast to punch somebody. That's all interesting. With my strength, my speed, laser beams out my freaking eyes, Omega level, I'm throughout the multiverse just like anybody else. I'm a king. I rule a planet of just evil. Granted, we like our heroes. That's not what we're talking about today. We already know Darkseid he is evil. We already know that. We're talking in a straight up one-on-one. Now, before you do didn't Flash kill him at one point? Yes. Darkseid's also killed Flash. This happens in comic books back and forth. But at the end of the day, if we bring these things out of comic woo-woo and put them in your downtown street, who do you honestly see winning that fight?
Awesome.
That's my argument.
All right, Flash, I know you basically summed yourself out, but do you have a final statement, closing argument?
I'm just saying you can do anything if you believe in it, and Barry is key member of the Justice League. And honestly, if he had the time, again, because this whole thing is ifs, if Barry and and Darkseid were just to meet somewhere and somehow get into a fight or whatever. If given the time, Barry wins, and that's what it is. No matter. Darkseid's your boring superhero. Darkseid was only created just like Doomsday to counteract Superman. He's of course, it's easy to give a character super strength and super, speed and the Omega beams and be a god. But when it comes down to it, he's just a boring character that's, been defeated several times. Yes, he's won in certain stories, but overall, he's taken more losses than he has victories, and Barry could do it. I honestly believe in my heart that Barry, given the ability and the time, he would win.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate both arguments. This was a hell of a fight, and I'm glad that Flash didn't just run in circles, and he actually had a good fight and all that. But what else can you expect from a guy whose very name has Flash in it? So I had to give Flashpoint his chance to argue Flash, since I promised him Flash in season 2. But because I was doing other things, I somehow winded up with Reverse Flash instead. So I was like, please, I'm sorry. Come back season 3. Here's Flash. I apologize. Here's the final link to drop for the vote if you guys haven't voted. And while you guys are voting, I want to bring this up on my other screen. The end of round 1 of season 3 takes place January 4th. So Doctor Strange versus Thor for episode 12, the end of round 1. Finally, it feels like it took a whole year for the end of round 1, but it's there. So it's Tuesday, January 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern. Your opponents will be Bubs, Comics, and Mr. crap, I can't remember. Mr. Miracle Comics, I think. Now I feel bad. Let's see. Mr. Miracle Comics, yes. So that's we'll be arguing for the final matchup between these two guys. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So all right, since we gave you guys a chance to vote, let me share the screen. We will see if Darkseid earned the right to move on to the next round to continue to be his self. All right, so
Darkseid is the next
Darkseid is, let's see. The results are Darkseid is the victor. 23 votes to 12. So thank you very much, Flashpoint, for being here.
Good debate, sir. Good
You had
debate.
a hell of a fight, and you had 12 people who said that you were right. So unfortunately,
okay. Those are the 12. Those are the 12 people that know what they're talking about. All right, that's okay with me.
Yeah, Darkseid is AF. So yes, Darkseid will move on to the second round, where he faces Doctor Strange or Thor, another god. So maybe another god can bring down Darkseid if Thor is the victor there. So this was 2021 strikes again with Flash. So this was a very good fight. Thank you guys. Do you either of you have anything on your channels you want to share real quick to while here and the podcast listeners who might actually be listening? Since I do have one or two I found out that have listened to my Knockout podcast since I created it. Any of you have anything you want to share?
Let's see here. If you don't know, I have two YouTube channels. One, I do comic book reviews. I'm not scared to get a little salty in them. We dive into some of the psychology and philosophy on some of it. We don't get too deep in it, just friendly conversation. My other channel is Evil Layer Projects and Builds, where we think of a community member and we make them something in the Evil Layer. We just got finished making some kids some web shooters. We've done Thor's hammer, things like that. So, if you're interested in build videos without a whole lot of explanation and some kick-ass tunes, you definitely want to check out Evil Layer Projects and Builds.
Very cool. Flash, I am so sorry that you didn't win. Do you have anything to...
No, it's always fun. It's always fun, Matt. You do a great show. I love watching them. I might not be there live, but I always watch the reruns. It's just great to get a bunch of community members like fighting for their favorites. So I appreciate even the side.
Yes.
Darkseid was a tough one. When I saw that, I didn't even know like what I was gonna do there. Because really all I could do was what ifs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There was nothing that I could say in fact other than he beat him in Final Crisis. And because most of the time when you bring these two characters together, it's always been with the Justice League, so they've never really had any singular interaction other than Darkseid kicking the entire Justice League's ass. So I'm like, I didn't really know what to do there.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
On a side note and all that, I still need to send this out to you.
Oh yeah, email me your or message me on Instagram or your PayPal, and I'll send it to you right after the shipping.
Awesome. But it's only common with Flash, but
2022 is going to be a big year for me. I kind of haven't done a lot of videos because I've been trying to learn editing and stuff. So I have, I just finished my Golden Age to Silver Age run. I don't count All Flash Comics 1 because that book has just became unobtainable for me at this point. I have 2 through 350, so I have that entire run done. I'm going to start doing consistent videos and editing, so it's going to be awesome. Look out for that mid-January is my plan.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me. This has been a long, hard-fought debate where Darkseid did come through in a 2-1 vote, but my wife's over here teasing me, trying to get my attention. So yeah, it's working too apparently. So it's like, yeah, Pocan gets it. All right, take care, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Stay tuned for January 4th for the final episode of round 1 before we move to round 2. And I'll have to actually prepare new videos and slides since I can't pre-make round 2. So unfortunately, so then I have to start working actually again instead of having my inventory. So it'll be fun. So I don't know what you're talking about. Southern. All right. See you guys next time for the next round of the knockout. Thank you guys and have a good night.
Happy New Year.